Great. Okay, so before we go into the last part of this session, so what I could pick up is that it seems like all the DSC subjects are now totally online, and then they split it up into 2 sessions, 15 questions, then a small break, and then the next set of 15 questions. What I still need to find out, so if any of you have anything on that, is I just want to know if there's some sequence in that paper. So if you guys know if there is any sequence that they said that the first part will be on the first 4 study units and the second part will be on the last 4 study units, please share that with on the group. I think that is just so that one can nearly get an understanding of how the flow of the exam will be. Because again, how it worked in stats was your first study unit was the first questions. So you will get questions on study unit 1 first, then study unit 2, then study unit 3. So you nearly knew how to prepare for the exam and what to expect in that question flow. So just if you can, if there has been anything communicated like that, please just share with me. But otherwise, it is online, 15 questions, a break, another 15 questions. The other thing that I could also not pick up from the things that has been shared is, and that is why I hope you guys will have a mock exam or something like that as well, so that you can just see how the flow of the questions are. So again, from a stats experience, it is basically one question. You save, you go to the next one, and you can't come back to the first question again. So again, if there's something like that somewhere that you guys have been given to you or communicated, or if there's a mock exam that you can go through, just give me some of those information that I know how we can then prepare that last few sessions. Then I have asked them to schedule 2 more sessions for us. So you're writing the 17th, if I'm still correct on that, and there hadn't been any changes to that, hopefully. So writing on the 17th, so we will still have a exam prep session on the 12th and on the 16th, so just before you write. So if there's anything still that needs to be sorted out on that day before you write, I think you guys are writing on a Tuesday, so that's why I made it for Monday, that if there's anything that nearly pops up over the weekend, that we can have nearly a face-to-face session and you can ask. Okay, so let's finish this section, and then let's see if we can start with some of the exam examples and some of the photos that have been shared on the group as well. So maybe we can start solving that. But first, let's just get this under finished. So basically, last week we ended off with 2 things that we still needed to do, and for one was looking at describing relationships, and the other one was looking at correlations. So in the section about describing relationships, it's all about nearly the linear graph, and we know that from the straight line that that we get. Let's just quickly see if I can just do it a bit more. Okay, so from the straight line, basically we get y is equal to a plus bc. That b is the slope. So sometimes that equation can also look something like where m then is the slope. So sometimes they refer to b, sometimes they refer to m, and that for me is also important, because sometimes depending on which calculator you use, you can have different things. So on my HB, I've got the M and the B, so we need to make sure which one is which. I've got the R for the correlation as well. So I think it's very important that we just need to make sure which one is referring to which one. So I'm not going to go into too much of a straight line. I rather that us look at something in a straight line. So this a value is always the y-intercept. So it will be this point that it is going through. So because it is going through the y-intercept, your x is always 0. And then whatever that value will be your y value. So that is why it is very similar, or it is exactly the same. So this is just more to show you where it goes through. If they give you the straight line with a point, you will be able to calculate some other information. And that is nearly the exercise that I want us to look at. And this will be very rough because it's very difficult to draw straight lines onto PowerPoint, but let's try to do that. Okay, so draw the line, and they can't really ask you in the exam to draw the line. So this is more to say, well, if I give you this line, maybe they can ask you questions around it. So what I just want to get out of drawing this line is to say, what will be my y-intercept and what will be my x-intercept? Because that's the most that they can, with giving you a line, ask you to calculate. So we know that the y-intercept is actually -6. So this line should have been somewhere there, the x and the y. And then we know that at -6, I will go through the line. Then what I would do is, so we know then if x is 0, then y is -6. So how to get the other point is when y is 0. So when y is 0, what is the value of x? 3x -6. So nearly from maths, we take that over. So 6 is equal to 3x. So x will be equal to 2. Okay, so then if x is 2, we can just link those two, and that will be your line. Also note, because that was a positive, positive always goes that way. If it was a negative, negative will go that way. Okay, so that is nearly what they could have asked you, is instead of drawing the line, because you won't be able to do that online, is to say, okay, but what is your x and what is your y points? So that is what they could have asked you. So again, just to show the following, but again, we're not, it's more to just understand. So say that was your xy, and we need to say y equal to 4. So on that line, that's your y. So if y is equal to 4, it just goes through there, and that will be your y is equal to 4. So the same if you were looking at x equal to 6, this side is positive, so let's say that is 6. So that will be your x is equal to 6. If you needed to look at the one that says y is equal to 2x, note that there is no, the y cutoff is 0, so it actually goes through that point 0, and then it is just a line doing that. And if you need to have a point on it where x is equal to, let's say, 1, if we put x equal to 1 in, 2 times 1 is 2, so then the y point would have been 2. So again, if they're asking us to give a point on that, it would have been x equal to 1, y equal to 2. If x was 2, y would be 4. Okay, so again, I just wanted to show how you do it, but for the exam, again, I can't see them asking this really in this way, because of the online way of doing it. It could be what they can do, and that they did in DSC1630, is say this is a straight line and give you the formula, and then they give you 3 or 4 or 5 options of different lines and say which picture presents the line. So that they can ask you to do. So they could have given you this picture with another picture that is -6 and -2 and going through that way, and they could have given you another picture that maybe has minus, or not -6 but +6 there and 2 there, and they could have given you one that goes through there as well. So they could have nearly given you a few snapshots of pictures of the line and said, but which one represents the one that you're looking for? So that is something that they could have asked. Okay, so this is basically looking at the straight line. So what they can ask you about the straight line is they give you points to put into a straight line, or they give you points to create the straight line. So I think that is the other important thing, is that we need to know how to calculate the slope. And the slope is just the change in y divided by the change in x. And I think what is important here is, and let's hope there's another one. Okay, so you will see in this one they said y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. But you can see it doesn't matter which way around you do it, as long as it's consistent. And with consistent, I mean, so if you say y1 minus y2, do it at the bottom as well, x1 minus x2, because you will get exactly the same answer than saying y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay. Okay, so just see that one. Let me just write that bit that you don't think that is also one. Okay, so it doesn't matter which way or which side around you do it, as long as you do it consistently for both. And I think that is the important one here is anyone can be first. Just make sure that when you divide it, that you divide it with the same order. So what they are giving us here is they want us to determine the expression for the straight line passing through these points. Okay, so let's say that is my graph. I've got a point x equal to 1. We're going to say that is x equal to 1. There it is 3. So that point is 1 and 3. Then at x3, there's a point 7. So that is 7. So my graph is going through there. And basically, I have 2 points. So what you first need to do then is to calculate the slope. So we follow this process. So we could have said y1 is 3 minus y2 is 7 divided by x1, which is 1, minus 3. So at the top, I will have minus 4. At the bottom, I will have minus 2. And then that answer is 2. And see, that is what you would have gotten from this as well. So here they doing a different method. But what I now want to show you is, so this was the slope that we calculated. Okay, so remember your formula is y is equal to, what is it, a plus bx. So we have b. So we can then say a is equal to, or sorry, y is equal to a plus 2x. And then what we can do is to say, well, I've got 2 points that I can actually put into this equation to solve for a. So this is one method of doing it, and this is another method of doing it. So let's put in 1 and 3. So 1 is your x and 3 is your y. So there's 3, there's 1. So 3 is equal to a plus 2. So then my a is equal to 1. So if I take the 2 to that side, 3 minus 2 is 1. And then I can complete my formula, which is a, I must remember to say y and not a as in Afrikaans. So y is equal to the a, which we've calculated as 1, plus 2x. And you will see that with that method, we got exactly the same as the method that they use. So again, depending on what is easier for you, you can decide which method you want to use. So this is something that they can ask you in the exam, because you don't need to draw anything. They give you 2 points and they ask you to calculate or to work out what is the equation of a straight line. Okay. Are you guys happy with that? That was very quick that I just went through that section. So is there anything that I need to quickly repeat, or are you happy with that?
So I said, would you mind to maybe repeat what I was disturbed when when you divided -4 divided by minus and equals 2. I didn't
Okay, cool.
hear the part where you got to the equation.
Okay, awesome. We'll do that. But with you asking that, so what I'm now going to do is I'm just going to do it the opposite. So because I now worked, in this example, I worked with that. So I just want to show the other one as well, because you will get exactly the same. So, and that will answer your question. So when we set y2, so y2 is 7 minus y1 is 3, and we divide by x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is 1. So at the top, 7 minus 3 is 4. At the bottom, 3 minus 1 is 2. And by that way, we also get 2. So we know that b is equal to 2. Then from the previous work, we know that the formula looks like y is equal to a plus bx. So we know what b is, so we can say y is equal to a plus 2x. And then what we can do is that point or that point. Again, it doesn't matter which point you put in. When you substitute it, you will get an answer. So let me substitute. In that one, I substituted the 3 and the 1. So let's substitute the other way around. So y is equal to 7. And by that, then we know that the x is 3. So 2 times 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. So if we take 6 to the other side, 7 minus 6 is 1. So by that method, we also get a is equal to 1. So then again, we can substitute that back into the original formula. So y is equal to 1 plus 2x. Okay, so it's exactly the same we get there, and it's exactly the same that we get there. So there's nearly a few ways of doing it. As long as you are consistent in how you do it, you can in a sense solve it very easily. Okay, does that answer your question as well?
Thank you.
Cool. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so let's go to some of the next ones. Just quickly want to check something. Okay, where my computer is going again. Okay, so basically what we also did when I drew the graph there is we plotted 2 points. And again, those 2 points are enough for you to actually be able to draw the line, because that is what we've done there. So not just draw the line, but say exactly how the line looks like. And I think that is also important. So what I would do if you get something like this in the exam, I would have a notepad with me, and then I would just draw something that I say, okay, the 2 points is x is 1, y is 4, so that's my 1 point. The other one, x is 4, y is 2. So the line will look something like that. I don't know what those cutoffs are yet, but one thing that I know, if a line goes that way, the M or the B, whatever you want to call it, so let's just make it the slope, because that is, so the slope will be negative. So again, if you then have answers that you need to pick out, the one that has a minus bx, because that is the slope part, and that needs to be negative. So that would be nearly, if I need to start then looking at options, I would say, well, I know which ones I need to look at and which ones I can eliminate. So again, just a kind of tip: if you have plotted your graph, you can make assumptions out of it. See, when we plotted this one, I did it and it was something like, that was one, that was, and it was something like that. So that told me already it is positive. So that needs to be positive. So if my answer is negative that I'm getting, somewhere in this calculation I made a mistake. Okay, and that is important. So that for me is nearly how I look at something to say, am I making a mistake? Is it correct what I'm doing? Is there something else that I need to look at? Okay, so that was the straight line, and nearly what you can expect around the straight line. Then the last part is about correlation, and here I nearly want to say, and I'm going to show you again quickly with Excel as well, but you can do it in your calculator as well with making that X and making that numbers Y. You can put it into your calculator to calculate, and you will see that the correlation is R, so you will have a function in your calculator that you can give back the answer for R. I'm also just quickly going to show you how to do it in Excel, just if they ask you other weird questions. So just on this, this data, when you put it in a diagram, looks like this. So you can see that the pattern is nearly a straight line. So then it tells me that there's a positive relationship, but also remember that if I have drawn a straight line there, it would have been the positive straight line in any case. So if you look at this one, it would have been a negative straight line because it would have had a negative in front of a slope. So then we call it a negative correlation. So basically, if it is a positive slope, it is a positive correlation. If it is a negative slope, it is a negative correlation. And I think that I just wanted to show you guys as well, because that I can ask you in a definition kind of question, is to say about positive correlation, negative correlation, and when they can ask you something else in that sense of and we will get to it what the R square means as well. So I think that is just important, that they can ask you about strong positive, weak positive. So the closer the number is to 1, the stronger the correlation. The same, the stronger the number is to -1, the stronger the correlation, but then it is just a negative correlation. The closer the number is to 0, the weaker the correlation. So it is nearly, again, if I draw it as a correlation from -1 to 1, on this side it is strong. So we know it is positive, so strong positive on this side. On this side it is also strong, but when it is a strong negative, and the more you nearly walk into the 0, the weaker it becomes. Okay, so again, just some graphic to explain it a bit easier. Okay, so let's look at the correlation coefficient, and that is nearly why I want to show you two things, because I have seen, so if I give you the data, if I give you that, then you use your calculator, because then there is nothing else that you can do. Use your calculator or use Excel. The other thing that they can do is they can give you this information, or they can give you the things that they're referring to in the correlation as, because that is the sum, so they could ask you or give that to you. They will not ask you to complete a table like this, so they will not do that. So the most likely thing is that they can give you the X and the Y, and they will ask you to work out the correlation. And that you can do with your calculator. I will quickly just want to show it on Excel. So let me just see where are my Excel that I can open it. Okay, so I have it open. Okay, so I'm just going to put in the numbers in Excel, so X and Y. So that is 10 and 5, 14 and 8, 13 and 6, 15 and 7, 18 and 10. Yeah, I just want to show Excel because sometimes as myself, I like Excel much more than I like the calculators. So for certain things, Excel is actually very cool. So if we needed to calculate the sum of those things, so if we needed to do that, we could have gotten the sum of x with the sum function, and you'd see we'll get the same as was given there. The same with y, we can do the sum function of that, and we'll get it for y. So for both the x and the y, we were able to do that. If we needed to calculate the x to the power of 2, I just do it this way so that you can see. So if I needed to do that, it was also very easy with Excel. And when you just drag it along, and if you need to do the sum, again, you can just drag the formula and it is there. So if I needed to do the y, it basically does the 5 to the power of 2, copy it to the bottom, and if I then do the sum across, I also get that. And then the other formula was the x times y, so that I could have done as well. And again, very much simpler to do it in Excel. So there I got all of the numbers that I needed to nearly calculate. So I just want to see what is where is that formula, so that I can work with that. Let's quickly check. Okay, so firstly, there is in Excel also so let's see if it is called correlation or if it is called Pearson. Okay, so there is the Pearson formula, and basically what it asks for you to do is put in the first array, which is the x's. It asks you to put in the second array, and as easy as that, you are getting the answer. Okay, 0.8407. We could have then, so that was through the Pearson formula that is already built in Excel. So if we used the formula that they give us and will be on your exam paper, it says, okay, the sum of x minus y times y, so that we have done there. So firstly, we need to say n, so we know n was 10. So equal to 10 times, I'm getting that now every time wrong, 10 times, so the sum of x times the y's was that. So that first part is done, minus the sum of the x's times the sum of the y's. Okay. So the part above the line is done, where you can see the 970. Then let's do the part at the bottom separately. So the square root of the things that are inside. So square root of n times, I think this one we just need a lot of brackets. So we've got x to the power of 2 minus, what is that? The total of x1 to the power of 2. So it is a really complicated formula. And then we multiply that by the second part. So let's just see what went wrong here. Okay, so I need to add another. So it is very important, all the okay, so there is something wrong. 10 times. Okay, it just shows how quickly one make a mistake. We probably don't need all of the, so square root of the whole thing, so it is that minus that. Okay, so let's just make 100% sure that my formula is correct. So it is a lot of work to do, even in Excel, to get to these numbers if they don't give you the raw data. So I'm just showing you this because if they only give you those three, you still need to know how to use the formula. I know on the stat side they did it, so I'm just worried that it can be that they do it to you in this course as well. So I just rather want to show you how it is done. Okay, so let's first so what I'm first going to do is I'm going to take the square root out so that I can just do the rest of the, so that would have been that one minus that to the power of 2. Okay, so that would have given me that. Okay, so basically they are doing it all under one, which you can also do. So I just want to check if I then did the square root of that. So that 45 that I got was right. So let's just, so that was the first part. Let's look at the second part. It is now the sum of the y, so 10 times. So basically what we did here with the x's, we do on this side with the y values. So it is 10 times the square roots of a y's, which was that one, minus basically that to the power of 2. So that would have given you a 645. So if I now square root that, it will give me 25. So basically, if I say the 970 divided by that times that, it will also give me the same answer. Okay, so I will share this with you as well, so that you can just see the formulas behind it, and you can even use this as a example or save it as how to work out correlation if you given certain numbers. Because what I would do if I were you, I would save this, and if you get now new numbers to put in, you can basically put in if it was a 9, and you will see automatically everything changes for you. So I would send this to you guys on the group, and you can, if you need to, then use it as an example to work out Pearson. Please do. So I will, let me just save it before something goes wrong, and I will send it to you on the group. Just that we are prepared nearly for anything that they can ask you in the exam. Okay, so we've just calculated this on both ways. So if you used Excel and you used the Pearson correlation within Excel, we could get it the same. If you put it into your calculator, you would use that as your X1. That will be your Y1. You need to put in the 10 data points, and then you would need to look for the function, the R function. Okay. So this is the correlation coefficient. Then the next one that they can also ask you about is the coefficient of determination. And all that is basically whatever you calculated for R, because that was the Pearson correlation, you just multiply it by itself again. So if we needed to calculate the coefficient of determination for this example, we would have said 0.8407 times 0.8407, and that would have given me then 0.7068. Okay, so that would have been your R square if we needed to work it out. So let's see. So they got the same, 70.68. And again, you can put it in two ways. So you can have it as a 0.0068, or if you multiply by 100 to give a percentage, that is also fine. So again, just another way of representing the R. So what I've seen a lot in exams is that they like this phrase of the coefficient of determination represents the part of the variation in the dependent variable y that can be explained by the independent variable x. And I've seen this now a few times that they use that, and they've asked you which one is correct maybe, and then they swap the dependent and independent around so that they give you nearly 5 options, one with the coefficient of determination square represents, and when they say variation in the independent variable that can be explained by the dependent variable. And then they will repeat it for the correct one, where they will say the variation in the dependent variable can be explained by the independent variable. Then what they sometimes also bring in is to say the coefficient of correlation. So when they bring in the correlation coefficient, so they can easily also in that same question say the correlation coefficient R represents the part of a variation in, just to confuse you a bit more. And I think that is just important from the coefficient of determination point of view. It is, again, luckily we have access to the definition, but just if I ask something like that, nearly come back to these slides, because you can have the slides with you. And that's why I nearly wanted to note this, because I have seen it a lot in papers, but again, this is the first time that this subject will be online. So I don't know if there will be a dramatic switch away from definitions nearly to just practical. Okay, and then basically that is the same that we had in the previous one, how to calculate the B. So I am not going to do that again. So that was more to explain now if you get certain things, how to calculate the regression line. Okay, so we did actually a lot of that already in the previous one. So again, we don't need to go too much into detail because we already have some of the answers. And again, I don't see them asking this, but if needed, I will add something like this into that Excel as well, that if you get data, you can nearly automatically get to the answers. Okay, that was up to the end of study unit 8, and that is all the study units for the exam. So let's just get a quick check in how you are, and then we can go to the next set and start looking at some of the questions that have come up for the exam. Everybody okay up until this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we all okay, sir.
Okay, cool. And is it making a bit more sense? Is it at least helping? And we are actually now finished with it, so at least there is now a video trail as well for you to go back and look at some of the videos, and just if there was certain things that was bothering you to go back to that. So I just opened nearly a slideshow to see if I can start copying in a question or two. So this is, I think this was shared on, there was 2 photos shared. So let me quickly see. And then maybe you guys can also tell me if this was okay. So you won't see it very clearly, so I'm going to read, and maybe this was on one of the assignments. So do you know if that was on one of the assignments? Let me quickly see if I can. I know the other one was a better picture. Where's the other one? Okay, so let's okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm looking here at one of the previous papers. Okay, if it's a nice one, I can copy it out and into this. Ooh, that is weird. Why didn't that? Okay, so it's again with my access rights to some of these things. Don't worry. On screen, we're gonna do this just the long way around. Okay, and to the guys that have joined now a bit later into the discussion, you will, after today session, you will receive another invite. So I've asked them to schedule for us 2 more sessions for the 12th and the 16th. I know you guys are writing on the 17th, so for the 12th and the 16th, ask them to have another hour and a half sessions on both days, and then specifically the 16th is more if there is really urgent things that you want to cover before you write the exams on the 17th. Okay, so let's look at this one, and you can also tell me what you would have done in this. You guys can see my screen still, eh?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. So let's look at what information do they give us. To pay off a loan of 7,000 due now and a loan of 2,000 due in 14 months' time, the Slovo agrees to make 3 payments. Oh, okay, I hate this one. Just because it's so long process and it is nearly in. Okay, this is a very important one. I'll do this offline, and then I'll talk through it next week, because this will take us the whole time if I need to go through it now and prepare myself. This is not a nice question, and it is nearly. Was this out of a previous exam paper?
No, this was assignment 2, Jean.
Was this actually assignment 2?
Yeah.
Okay, because I've seen this in a few exam papers as well, so that is nearly why. So it can be that assignment 2 was when assignment 2 and assignment 1 was maybe an exam paper that they have broken up. So what you need to do, so I just want to sketch what we need to do, but then I will work it out and then I'll come back and show it to you. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to have a timeline. At this point, there's a payment due. let me just get there's a payment due, and in 14 months time, let me just so what you need to basically first do is we need to, and everything is calculated 6 increase to make 3 payments in 2, 5 and 10 months time. It will be 2 months. 5 months, so I assume from there to there it is 5 months, which will be 2x. So the total will be 5 months, and then the third payment in 10 months time, and that total period was 14 months. Okay, so what we need to do is to basically calculate with those two all the present value or the future value. So you can decide which one we want to do. 1.5 if interest is so it doesn't matter which one we calculate as long as we know that it's the present value or the future value, because what we then will do is to use it as to say x, and you use your interest rate that we're going to put in there plus 2x, your interest rate, plus 3x, your interest rate. And the reason why I say it doesn't matter which one you use, present or future, the one we're going to use is the one that we're then going to use here. So if I am correct, if we go future, this is normally the x plus 1, so it's the positive one. If we move back into the present, it's the negative one. So you just need to decide, am I going to go with a present value, or am I going to go with a future value? For me, the future value is normally easier. So I will work out what is your total future value. So if you have your total future value, you know that these payments need to end up being equal to those total future value. Okay, so maybe we must quickly check if we can do that. Okay, so I would, in the exam, I would have guessed any of those two. I wouldn't have gone there. I wouldn't have gone there. I would have probably, so this is just me free thinking. So don't, that just sounds too good if you look at the periods and everything involved with it. So nearly I would have said that over a 14-month period plus that. So, and it was 6 payments. So I have guessed option 1. But that would have just been me. What was, you guys would have gotten the answers of this if it was assignment 2. What was the answer to this one?
I'm just going to check quickly. I'll tell you now.
But I will write it out more nicely for you. And if you have the answer sheet, share that as well with me. It's nice that I can nearly share all the assignments with the answers with me, please, that I have that as reference as well, because then I can also check some of it, what I think that from previous exams that they nearly will throw into the pot. Do they show you on the, when they give you the marks, how to calculate the answer, or do they just give you option 1 was the correct one or option 2?
So what they did is they gave us some solutions on and the way we were supposed to work it out. So what I've shared the answers for solution 2 in the charts, so that you can have a look at it. They explained it in a way which you can easily understand. If you can check it now, I've shared it now, so that everybody can be up to date with what we're doing now.
Okay, cool. Let me quickly see. Okay, awesome. Let's let it just, it takes a while on my side. Everything is very slow on my side. I think somebody is probably watching YouTube while I'm Okay, so let me quickly see if I can get it. Otherwise, I'll download it later as well. Sure, it is taking forever on my side. Okay, I'll download it later. I've got real download issues at the moment, but it will be in the files as well. So I'll get it afterwards. So what was question 13's answer actually?
The answer was option 1.
What was it? Option 1. Okay, so I would have
Yes.
guessed it right, but I want to I want to show you how to get to it. So the paper would help me as well in to see if did they calculate the future value.
What they did now, it's like, I don't know if it's going to take much of your time, but I can read what they did here.
Okay.
They said in this question, the person is rescheduling a payment towards her loan. We make use of equation of value principle, namely what you owe, you have to pay back. That's the total of all loans and equals the total of all payments. But you cannot add money values at different time periods together of the time value of money. You must first move all values to the same date. We use the date specified in the question, namely month 5, as comparison date. First, we calculate the value of each loan at month 5. We move 7,000 from now.
Okay.
We move the 7,000 from now to month 5. That's 5 months forward. Now, future value, that's S equals P bracket 1 plus JM over M bracket to the power of
so
TM.
they did a future
where
value
T,
on. Okay.
Yeah, where T is the number of years and M is the number of compounding periods. Thus, S equals 7,000 bracket 1 plus 0.16 over 12 to the power of bracket 5 over 12 times 12 closing bracket. The 2,000 must be moved backwards in time from month 14 to month 5. That's 9 months in total. And
Okay,
then they give the example what you must.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So what
So
they
they go
did,
so on and so on until.
okay. So this is quite fascinating. So what I would go and test for you guys is, so and that for me is, it feels like this nearly have a few ways to do it. So okay, so what they said was, let's move everything. We move a 7,000 to month 5. We move the 2,000 to month 5. We get a value, and that will then probably be equal to 2x. So that is what you can do. What you can also do is move everything to this and then use the present value with all of the free payments, and you will get a value. Or you can move everything to the future point, which will then be your total future value, and again use all 3 points and get the same. So there's actually 3 ways of doing it. So it's interesting, the method. So they all bring it to that month 5, because also makes sense, because what I would have needed to do if I did, and again, so we need to get to that month 5. So what I still needed to do on for, I would have gotten an answer for x. So then I still needed to remember that I am looking for that one. Okay, so again, probably look at that. So if I said that is probably going to be your x, 1582.43. If I multiply it by 2, I will get the 3164.86. Okay, because it is the 5 months, so we're looking at the 2x scenario. Okay, so just again, so the method that they were talking about is easier, because that actually brings you to that answer automatically. Where I would have gotten to an x answer, which would have been that, but then I still needed to multiply it by 2 to get to that middle point, or the 5 month one. Okay, so very interesting, that one. You can, what I will do for you before we have the next session is, I will basically break this up into the 2 or 3 methods that you can do it, and then you decide which one is easiest. For me, I normally like to move everything to a point that is for me easy to do. That's why I would have wanted to move the 7,000 up to that 14 month to get to the end period, add the 2,000 with that, and get a future value, and then nearly split it up. But again, also, it makes 100% sense to move the 7,000 up to the 5 months, move the 2,000 back to the 5 months period. So the important thing then is that this will be 5 months, and that would have been 9 months that you needed to work with. Okay. But again, this is in the exam quite a lot of work. So that page that you had as the solution, that is probably nearly a page and a half of work that is in there. Or is it even longer?
It is long,
Yeah,
John,
I
and
think
the calculation, or the calculator part is also very long. Because you
Yeah.
need
it's
to
about,
memory.
I think it's about 4 pages, yeah? 4.
Sure. Okay, so let me see if I calculate it the other way that I if it may be easier to do it that way and we get the same answer. So I will play a bit with that and see if I can just get to a quicker way for you to get to the answer, because I like to move everything nearly or everything into the future or everything back into the beginning, and from there I normally like to work, because otherwise you need to, if you move it to a single point, it's also fine, but then one needs to make 100% sure that you're doing the right things. And maybe again with a calculator there's an easy way instead of going through all the formulas. So I'll check a few things for you if just to make it a bit easier. Okay. Is there more? So please send me, and I don't know if this attachment is for all of the assignments or if it was only for assignment 2, but even on the WhatsApp group, if you can send to me assignments 1 to 4 and also the answers from assignment 1 to 4, and then if there's specific ones on those, just nearly also in the WhatsApp group say look at question 3, because that is what I'm in any case going to do with some of the other questions that have already been posted. It is nearly I will nearly write what I would have done in a short way, and then start sharing that back onto the WhatsApp group. I just think that is maybe easier, and if there's big things that we need to explain, like this question, I would want us to explain again on the 12th, and then nearly say to you, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3, this is the answer. So if there is things that I need to explain, nearly send to me the things that in the next session on the 12th that I need to explain, and I'll copy it in a presentation like this, and we can work through it. Okay, will that work for you guys? Even if it is out of exam papers that you are working through, maybe if you have time, if there's something popping up, ask a question and I will nearly do the same and nearly create a PowerPoint with all the questions in, and we can work through it. Will that work for you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. My suggestion is like if we can find the past exam paper which they wrote in June, because it's almost, they also wrote online. So if we can get it, then we can go through it. We know we're going to cover from simple interest up to, if we do all those questions, maybe at a faster pace, and then we can also cover whatever other questions we have.
Was, I assume the things that they've shared with you in the additional sources and those kind of things, they didn't share last semester's exam paper. They probably only did up until October, November 2019, I assume.
Yeah, I don't have it with me also. I'm just thinking if there is someone who has it, he can also put
Yes.
it through to you so that when we meet again on the 12th, we go through it and everybody will
That
get a
would be
glimpse of what
awesome.
it's going to. Yeah.
That would be awesome if somebody has access to it. Yes.
I do send it in the group.
Did you? Oh, where did I miss it?
Is that this year's May, June exam?
Yes, this year's one. I must have missed it when I will.
Norma, did you send it to the WhatsApp group or this chat?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
wait.
I send it in the WhatsApp group.
WhatsApp
Yes,
group, yeah.
yes.
I just want
Yes,
to
I
check.
send
have
it
it
in the
here.
WhatsApp group.
Yes,
And I
yes.
sent also the few questions.
Cool.
Is that,
We will go through that.
Yeah, I send it in the WhatsApp group. Yes, in the WhatsApp group.
I'm
does it have
gonna.
solutions?
No, it doesn't have
No,
solutions.
it's new. It's new. It's impossible to have a solution. It's
Yeah.
last
So
year.
I'm
Okay.
now sharing
Yes.
it back into, but it's top of mind again. But yes, you did share it. Okay, so we can work through the next two sets basically, so that we also get used to. Yeah, I'm still dreading this online. I don't like it at all, but yeah. Okay, cool. So now I have it. I see it in front of me. So next time we just start and we go through it. If there's other questions coming in, I'll add to it. But this is nearly okay. So this also tells me that we're doing it in order of your study units because it is simple interest, simple discount, when again simple interest, when it goes into compounded, yes, compound. Okay, so I like this. So then we bring in the effective and nominal rate, so that makes sense. I'm just quickly browsing through it. When we bring in compounded continuously, that is also the first part. When we go into different payment methods, question 11, we start talking about nearly the annuities, but the beginning of the month, so that we know that we need to change the function to the beginning. Okay, so then we go into the next set. Okay, when we go into cash flow, and the cash flow has different periods to it. So the lucky, wait, before I say lucky thing, there's also no questions that refers to no information that refers to two questions. Oh, I spoke too early. Okay, so then there's the one that refers to question 18, 19, and 20. But that is basically looking at monthly payments, interest paid in the second month. So this is for amortization that we're asking in a question like that. So it still follows the process. Then we go into the study unit we did now to look at, again, question 21, 22, 23, to go into X and Y, the dependent variable, independent variable, slope, regression. Okay, so how they did it, so the one thing that's different, so they follow the study guide, but then the bonds part, they bring in on 20 and then the net present value. So, okay, so what we did with the paper, so up until question 23, basically, they're going study unit by study unit. And then the last set of questions, it's a bit of putting things, like I say in Afrikaans, de mekaar. So there's then 1 or 2 bond questions. There is a part of a small investment. So you're looking at net present values. That was some of the previous study units, the profitability index, which was also part of that net present value. So up until a certain point, it follows nicely the process, and then the last few questions, they throw it upside down a bit. But we can start with this next week. It is next week for 12. Yes, next week Thursday, and just run through it. Okay, are you guys happy with that?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. And in between, share some of these questions as well, and then I'll see if I can answer it easily with writing something down. And if I need to explain it, we can just push it somewhere into the next 2 sessions. Okay. Great.
All right.
Norma, are you ready for both your exams?
Yeah, I'm pushing, I'm trying, Jean.
Okay. Because I know you write the day before this, eh?
Yes, 16 and 17.
Oh, good luck. Good luck.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so we'll do some stat sessions as well in the week.
Okay.
Okay, great, guys. So this is now the end of the formal sessions, but we will have 2 more sessions, and if needed, I'll see if we must do something else. But let's check how it goes on the 12th, and maybe we squeeze in a session on the Saturday as well, or something like that. But let's first go to the 12th and see how we go in the 12th, and if needed, we push this session in front of the 16th as well. Okay, good luck everyone, and good luck with all the other exams as well.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Jean.
Would you like to
Thank you, sir.
reshare that
Cool.
past exam paper?